The discovery nobody in the small village expected anything strange that night. It was a cold, quiet evening, and most people were at home, sitting by the fire or having dinner. But Alex was outside. He always liked to walk at night. The world felt different in the darkness, peaceful, but a little scary too. Alex walked slowly along the narrow path near the forest. He liked to look at the stars. He was thinking about school, his friends, and life in the village. Suddenly, he noticed a bright, strange light in the sky. It was not like anything he had ever seen before. The light moved very fast and then stopped above the forest. For a moment, everything was silent. Then, there was a loud crashing sound, like something heavy falling through the trees. Birds flew up, making loud noises. Alex's heart started beating fast. Was it a meteor, an airplane, or something else? Alex was curious and a little afraid. But his curiosity was stronger than his fear. He decided to go into the forest and see what had happened. He walked quickly but carefully, moving through the dark trees. The only light was from the moon and the stars. The forest was silent, except for Alex's footsteps on the dry leaves. After a few minutes, he saw a strange blue glow between the trees. He moved closer, hiding behind a big tree. There, in a small clearing, he saw something that made him freeze. There was a small silver object lying on the ground. It looked like a pod or a small spaceship. Smoke was coming out from one side, but that was not the most shocking thing. Next, to the pod, something was moving slowly, as if trying to stand up. Alex looked closer. It was a girl, but not like any girl he had seen before. She was very thin, almost just skin and bones. Her skin was very pale and almost shined in the moonlight. Her hair was silver, long, and tangled. Her eyes were big, glowing blue and full of sadness and pain. Alex wanted to run away, but he could not move. He watched as the girl tried to walk. But she fell to the ground. She was too weak. She looked at Alex with scared eyes. For a moment, both of them just stared at each other. Then, Alex remembered his mother's words. If you see someone in need, help them. He took a deep breath and walked into the clearing. The girl tried to move away, but she was too tired. Alex raised his hands to show he was not dangerous. "It's okay. I won't hurt you," Alex said, using a soft voice. The girl looked at him. She did not speak, but her eyes seemed to say thank you. Alex could see that she was hurt. Her arm was bleeding, and there were cuts on her face and legs. She was shivering from the cold. Alex took off his jacket and gently put it around her shoulders. She looked surprised, but then she hugged the jacket tightly. Alex felt sorry for her. He did not know who she was or where she came from, but he could see she needed help. He tried to help her stand, but she was too weak. He thought for a moment. If anyone saw her, they might get scared or call the police. Maybe someone would try to hurt her because she was different. Alex knew he had to keep her safe. He picked her up carefully. She was very light, almost like a child. She did not resist. She was too tired and cold. Alex walked quickly, carrying her through the forest, hoping nobody would see him. His house was not far, but he did not want his family to see the girl. There was an old shed behind his house where he kept his tools and bicycles. He decided to hide her there, just for tonight. When he reached the shed, he gently placed her on a pile of old blankets. She closed her eyes, breathing hard. Alex looked at her and wondered, "Who are you? Where did you come from?" He found a bottle of water and gave it to her. She drank slowly, looking at him with grateful eyes. For the first time, Alex noticed a small, glowing crystal hanging from a chain around her neck. It was beautiful and strange. Alex sat next to her, thinking about everything that happened. He knew he could not tell anyone about her, not yet. She was a secret, and he had to protect her. Outside, the wind blew softly, but inside the shed, it was quiet. Alex watched the girl fall asleep, still holding the glowing crystal. He wondered what would happen next. Who was this strange girl? Was she really an alien? And what dangers might come looking for her? One thing was certain. Alex's life would never be the same again. That night, Alex barely slept. Every sound outside made him sit up and listen, afraid someone might discover his secret. But it wasn't fear that kept him awake, was the image of the strange girl lying silent and weak in his old shed. The next morning, Alex got up before anyone else. He quietly took some bread, a water bottle, and an old blanket, pretending he was going out to fix his bicycle. He felt nervous. What if the girl was gone? What if she had changed overnight into something dangerous? But when he opened the shed door, he found her exactly where he left her. She was curled up on the blanket, the jacket still around her shoulders, her hands tightly holding the glowing crystal. She opened her eyes slowly and looked at him. This time, she didn't look scared. She almost looked hopeful. Alex sat down and handed her the bread. She took it slowly, watching him as if unsure what to do. He smiled and broke off a piece, eating it first to show her it was safe. The girl copied him, biting into the bread. She chewed slowly, as if tasting bread for the first time in her life. For the next few days, Alex brought her food and water whenever he could. He snuck out at night or early morning, always looking over his shoulder. The village was small, and people liked to gossip. If anyone saw Alex acting strange, they would ask questions. The girl did not speak at all. Sometimes she pointed at things, and sometimes she made soft sounds, but Alex could not understand her. He tried to ask her name, but she just stared back, silent. Alex decided to call her Lyra. He thought the name sounded gentle, like the music of stars. One night, Alex brought her an old notebook and a pencil. He drew a picture of himself and wrote, "Alex." Then he pointed to her, offering the pencil. She hesitated, but then she took it and drew a small star. She wrote something in a strange script that Alex had never seen. The letters glowed faintly on the page, like the crystal she wore. Over time, Lyra grew stronger. Her wounds healed quickly, much faster than Alex thought possible. Her eyes were brighter, her hair seemed shinier. Sometimes, at night, Alex would look into the shed and see her skin softly glowing in the dark. It was beautiful, but it also made Alex realize how different she was. Still, Alex was careful. He knew he could not let anyone else find her. He even stopped talking to his best friend, Sarah, afraid he might say too much by accident. But Sarah was smart and noticed Alex was hiding something. She started watching him more closely. One evening, as Alex sneaked out with food, he overheard some villagers talking near the main square. "Did you see the lights last week?" One man said, "Yes, and something landed in the forest. My dog hasn't been the same since. It keeps barking at the trees," a woman replied. "Maybe it's just a wild animal." Another man said Alex hurried past them, his heart pounding. He realized he wasn't the only one who noticed something strange. If the villagers started searching, they might find Lyra. He had to be even more careful. That night, Alex asked Lyra if she could understand him. He spoke slowly, using simple words. "Are you from another place?" "Another world." He asked. Lyra touched her chest, then pointed at the stars outside the small shed window. She looked sad for a moment, then hugged her knees and turned away. Alex felt helpless. He wanted to help her, but he didn't know how. He sat beside her and talked about his life, his family, and his favorite things. Even though Lyra didn't answer, she listened. Sometimes she smiled softly. One night, as Alex was about to leave the shed, Lyra touched his arm. She pointed at the door and shook her head. Then she made a motion like someone looking in. Alex understood she was scared someone would find her. "Don't worry," Alex whispered. "I'll keep you safe. I promise." But outside, in the dark, someone was watching the shed. A pair of eyes followed Alex as he left, and a shadow moved silently between the trees. The secret was getting harder to keep, and Alex didn't know it yet, but he wasn't the only one protecting a secret. In the village. The first strange thing Alex noticed was the silence. Not the kind of silence you hear in the forest at night. This was different. The birds had stopped singing. Even the wind had gone quiet. It was as if the world was holding its breath, watching. Alex stood outside the shed, feeling something was wrong. He slowly opened the door. Inside, Lyra sat in the corner, hugging her knees, her silver hair falling over her face. She looked up at Alex, and for a split second, her eyes flashed with light, bright and unnatural, like a star blinking in the sky. He stepped back. "What was that?" he whispered. Lyra didn't answer. She just stared at him, breathing slowly. Something was changing. The next few days were strange. Lyra no longer looked weak. Her skin, which had been dry and pale, now looked smooth and glowing. Her bones were no longer sharp under her skin. She was growing stronger, fuller. She looked alive. One morning, Alex brought her a mirror, just a small one from the bathroom. He smiled and held it up to her. She looked at it for a long time, then touched her face gently. A single tear rolled down her cheek. Was she remembering something or someone? That night, as Alex sat beside her, he noticed something even more strange. The wounds she had when he first found her, they were gone. Not a scar, not a mark. Her skin looked untouched. And then, something impossible happened. Alex had a small cut on his finger from fixing a broken bike. Lyra reached out and took his hand. She placed her fingers lightly over the cut. Her hand grew warm. The cut disappeared. Alex stared at his hand in shock. "What? How did you do that?" Lyra gave a faint smile, but said nothing. Her glowing crystal, always around her neck, pulsed gently with soft blue light. It matched the rhythm of her breath. The changes didn't stop there. Lyra began to move differently, more graceful, like her body had suddenly remembered how to be strong again. She started standing on her own, walking slowly around the shed. Her movements were silent, smooth, almost like she was floating. She also began to mimic words. Alex would talk, and she'd quietly repeat small parts. Food, safe, friend. Her voice was soft, musical. It didn't sound fully human, but it was beautiful. She even laughed one evening, just a small laugh, but it filled the shed with warmth. Still, Alex could feel something building inside her. Some kind of power or energy. It was in her eyes, in the way the air around her felt charged, like just before a lightning storm. One night, when he brought her some soup, the light bulb in the shed exploded. Lyra looked scared, then sad. "It's okay," Alex said, though his hands were shaking. "I know you didn't mean to." She pointed at her chest, then to the stars again. "Too much," she whispered, her first full sentence. Alex sat down, trying to understand. Was her power growing too fast? Was she in danger? Or was Earth in danger if she lost control? Later that night, after Alex left, Lyra stood at the small window of the shed. She looked up at the sky, whispering something in her language. Her crystal glowed brighter than ever before. Far away, deep in space, something heard her call. But back on Earth, danger was also growing. Someone had seen strange lights near Alex's house. Whispers of something not human were starting to spread in the village. And worse, Sarah, Alex's best friend, had begun following him again. Alex didn't know it yet. But he was running out of time. It started with a dream. But it didn't feel like a dream. Alex was floating, weightless in the middle of a blue sky full of stars. The stars were moving, not shining, but swimming, like fish in a great, quiet ocean. Then a voice called his name. Alex, ... He turned, and there she was, Lyra standing on a silver bridge made of light. Her hair flowed behind her like wind in space. She reached for his hand. And when he touched her, 1,000 images flashed in his mind. Flashes of another world. Alex woke up gasping for air, his heart racing. His blanket was on the floor, and his window was open, though he never opened it. He didn't understand what had happened. It felt so real, and Lyra. She had spoken to him in that dream. Not with words, but with pictures, feelings, sounds. Somehow, she was inside his mind. He rushed to the shed. Lyra was awake, sitting with the glowing crystal in her lap. She looked at him with quiet eyes and nodded as if she already knew. "You were in my dream," he whispered. She nodded again. Then she placed 2 fingers on her temple, then gently touched his forehead. "Now, you see," she said softly, "it wasn't just a dream. It was a memory." And she had shared it with him. Every night after that, Alex had more dreams. He saw Lyra's home, a planet covered in silver oceans and tall, glowing trees. The sky was purple. The animals had wings, even the small ones. Her people didn't speak like humans. They shared thoughts, feelings, memories, mind to mind. He saw Lyra flying a small ship, laughing with someone. Then darkness, fire, screams, her ship crashing. Her people running, a shadow covering the stars. Lyra had escaped something. Something big, something dangerous. But now she was alone. Alex began to understand the pain in her eyes. He no longer saw her as just alien. He saw her as lost. As someone who had left behind a whole world. One day, Lyra held out the crystal and gave it to Alex. He held it carefully. It was warm and pulsing like a heart. Images flowed into his head, her family, her friends, her city, all gone. Alex felt tears in his eyes. He looked at Lyra. "You showed me everything." "Why?" She placed her hand on his chest. "You care," she said. It was simple. And it was true. Later that week, Alex brought her a flower from his mother's garden, a white daisy. He gave it to Lyra with a smile. She held it carefully, as if it was treasure. Then something strange happened. The daisy began to glow in her hand, not a lot, just a soft shimmer. She placed it next to the crystal, and it stayed glowing. Alex was amazed. "You can give life," he said. Lyra shook her head. "Only feel it." Alex finally understood. Lyra was not just powerful, she was connected to everything around her. Her kind didn't just live on their world. They felt it. They loved it. That's why losing it hurt so much. But their peaceful moment didn't last. Sarah, Alex's best friend, had followed him again. This time, she saw everything. She saw Lyra, saw the glowing crystal, saw the flower. She ran. Alex didn't notice until it was too late. He looked at Lyra. "We have to hide." But Lyra wasn't afraid. She looked calm, peaceful. Alex grabbed her hand. "Please, don't trust everyone like you trust me." She touched his hand gently. "Not all hearts are open," she whispered. That night, as they sat together in silence, Lyra leaned her head on Alex's shoulder. The crystal glowed softly between them. 2 worlds had connected, 2 beings who were never meant to meet. Now couldn't imagine being apart, but far away in the dark sky, something was coming, and it was coming fast. The knock on the door came too early. It's too loud. Alex's mother opened it, sleepy-eyed, only to find no one there. Just a single note lying on the ground. "There's something in your shed." That morning, Alex's world began to break. He ran to the shed before anyone else could. Lyra was already standing. Her eyes were sharp. She could feel the change in the air. "They know," Alex said. She didn't ask how. She just nodded. He looked around. Footprints in the dirt. Someone had been close, very close to discovering her. Alex's heart raced. "It was Sarah," he whispered. "She saw you. She told someone." Lyra didn't move. Her face was calm, but her glow was dimmer. She understood what betrayal felt like. Sarah didn't come to school that day. Alex tried calling her. No answer. He biked to her house. Curtains were closed. Her father stood on the porch, speaking to two men in black jackets. Government? Military? They had files. They had photographs. One of them held up a photo of Lyra's. Glowing crystal, Alex turned and left quickly, panic rising in his chest. He didn't go home. He went straight back to the shed. "Lyra," he said, out of breath, "they're coming for you." She didn't speak. She looked out the window, her fingers gently holding the crystal. "They saw it," he said. "Your light, your power. They want it." That night, the wind changed. The trees didn't sway. They stood still, like watchers. Lyra sat in the center of the shed, eyes closed, as if she was listening to something far away. Alex watched her. "What are you doing?" She opened her eyes. "Calling to your people." She nodded. "One last time." Meanwhile, Sarah was alone in her room. Staring at her phone, she hadn't meant for it to go this far. She just wanted someone to believe her. She didn't know the men she spoke to would act so quickly. She remembered. Lyra's eyes, sad, gentle, not dangerous. Now it was too late. The next day, Alex noticed a van parked across the street from his house. Same black jackets, same silent men. They were watching. Waiting. Alex didn't go to school. He stayed near Lyra all day. They barely spoke. The silence was heavy, filled with fear. At night, Alex heard his parents whispering downstairs. "He's been acting strange for weeks. You don't think it's true, do you? He's just a kid." Then the power went out. Total darkness. Alex grabbed a flashlight and ran to the shed. But before he got there, he saw it blue. Lights moving through the trees. Silent, unnatural. Not from Earth. He rushed in. "Lyroth, they're here." She stood, eyes wide, glowing brighter than ever. The crystal around her neck pulsed like a heartbeat. She held Alex's hand tightly. "Not them," she said. "Not mine." Alex froze. "If they're not yours, then who are they?" Before she could answer, the shed exploded in light. Asterisk time. Stopped. The moment the blue light hit the shed, everything froze: sound, breath, even fear. Alex couldn't move. It felt like his heart had turned to stone. He reached for Lyra, but she was already standing, calm in the chaos, glowing like a star preparing to burn. The invaders had arrived, but they were not here to help. They were here to take the sheds. Walls cracked, the roof shook. A low humming sound filled the air, deep and cold. Outside, figures in dark suits and strange armor stepped through the trees, silent, robotic, scanning everything. Lyra's glow became sharp, hot like fire. The crystal on her chest lifted into the air, spinning. Her eyes turned pure silver. "Run," she whispered to Alex, but Alex didn't move. "I'm not leaving you. They are not from Earth," she said. "They followed me here. They want this." She touched the crystal and me. Alex looked at the door. The men were almost at the shed now. His thoughts screamed. "We need to escape." Now, back in the house, Alex's mother screamed as the power flickered. The TV turned on by itself, static. Then a flash of the forest. Then black again. Sarah sat in her room, crying. She had tried to warn the agents to stop, but they didn't care. They wanted control, not peace, inside the shed. Lyra held Alex's hand and closed her eyes, and suddenly he saw everything. Not with his eyes, but his mind. The woods, a hidden path. A cave under the hill. A silver disc half buried in the earth. Her escape pod broken, but not dead. The only way out, then he was back in his body. How did you? Shared memory, she said softly. We go now. Alex grabbed a backpack with supplies, then let her out the back of the shed. They moved silently through the trees, ducking low. The invaders scanned everything behind them, but Lyra used her energy to hide their trail. The wind howled. The sky had turned purple, like something wrong was happening far above. Is it your people? Alex asked. No, Lyra said. Not yet. They reached the cave. It was real, just like in her memory, hidden behind rocks and vines. They climbed inside, and there it was, a disc-shaped ship, cracked, dirty, and glowing faintly. It looked like it had been sleeping underground for years. But when Lyra stepped close, the ship lit up slowly, like it was remembering her. She placed the crystal into a slot near the front. The ship hummed to life. It can fly. Alex asked. No, not far, she said. But it will call the others, my people. Suddenly they heard voices outside. The agents had tracked them. Then dash, boom. The front of the cave exploded. Smoke. Dust. A red light scanning the darkness. Alex and Lyra ducked behind the ship. One of the men entered holding a strange weapon. Lyra looked at Alex. You trust me? He nodded. Close your eyes, she said. He obeyed, and then a blinding burst of light. When Alex opened his eyes, the man was on the ground. His weapon had melted. The walls of the cave glowed, symbols burning bright and fast, like fireflies. Lyra was floating, just slightly. Her body surrounded by silver fire. Alex could only stare. What are you? She floated down slowly. A messenger. A memory. Of what? He asked. Something is coming. Bigger than this. Not just for me. For your world. The ship beeped. A soft voice, alien, but Kamik code in the cave. Lyra looked at Alex. My people heard the signal. They're on their way. Alex's hands shook. And the ones chasing you? She looked toward the smoke-filled cave entrance. They won't stop. Back in the village, storms began forming above the trees. Lights flashed in the sky, blue, red, silver. People looked up, confused, scared, but Alex and Lyra didn't look back. They were planning one final move, not just to survive, but to fight back. The sky was no longer blue. It had turned silver like Lyra's eyes. Above the forest, clouds spun in slow circles. Lightning flashed silently across the sky. But there was no thunder, no sound. Just a hum, a low, deep hum that made the trees shiver, the birds vanish, and the world stopped moving. Alex stood at the mouth of the cave, holding Lyra's hand, watching the sky open. They had called, and something had answered. Behind them, the ship, her ship, was glowing brighter than ever. The crystal Alex had once seen as just a strange stone was now floating above it, spinning faster, throwing light like waves across the cave. Lyra looked at Alex, her face calm but full of feeling. They are near, she said. Your people? He asked. She nodded slowly. And the ones who followed? Both. Alex looked up. Silver lights were forming in the clouds like stars falling toward Earth. But not all of them were friendly. Will they hurt you? He asked. Not if I become what I am meant to be, she said. Alex frowned. What does that mean? Lyra stepped into the center of the ship. The ground lit up beneath her feet. Her hair rose like it was caught in wind. Her skin shimmered, and the air itself changed thicker. Heavier. Alive. Alex stepped back, eyes wide. Lyra began to rise slowly, her body surrounded by rings of light. The glowing crystal returned to her chest, fusing into her skin. Her hands opened, and beams of light shot into the sky. And then it happened. She transformed. Her body stretched not in size, but in presence. She was no longer just a girl. She was something more. Her skin became like light itself, her eyes deep pools of starlight, wings not of feathers, but of energy spread from her back. They moved with thought, not air. Alex stared in awe. This was Lyra's true form, not a victim, not a lost alien, but a being of power, memory, and light. Outside, the sky broke open. A ship, massive, silent, silver, descended like a falling moon. It hovered above the trees. Lights blinked across its surface, like ancient symbols waking from sleep. But there were others, two dark, sharp ships that came from the other side of the sky. The hunters, the ones who had followed Lyra across stars. Alex heard a voice in his mind, Lyra's voice. Stay behind the stone. Do not move. He obeyed, and then the cave exploded in light. Lyra lifted both hands. Beams of silver fire shot upward. The dark ships screamed loud. Mechanical screeches, but her light cut through them like sunlight through shadows. One by one, they fell, crashing into the forest far beyond. The battle was over in seconds. Silence returned. The sky dimmed. The great silver ship slowly landed in the clearing, tall and graceful like a floating temple. Figures stepped out. They looked like Lyra, tall, glowing, peaceful. Alex stepped forward, but stopped when he saw Lyra turning back to him. She was still glowing, still powerful, but her eyes were soft. You're leaving, he said. I must, she replied. This form is not meant to stay here. Alex looked down. Will I ever see you again? She walked closer, her feet not touching the ground. She placed her hand on his chest. You already have. In here. He smiled, even though his heart felt heavy. Then she gave him something small, warm. The crystal, now dim, like a sleeping star. For when your world forgets to feel, she said. This will help you remember. As she turned to go, Alex called out, Lyra. She paused. I'm glad I found you. Even if it was just for a little while. She smiled, tears in her glowing eyes. You didn't just find me, Alex, she said. You saved me. She rose into the air, the other beings following her. Together, they disappeared into the sky, fading into the clouds like light into dawn. The wind returned. The birds sang again, and Alex stood alone, holding the crystal. Against his chest, the stars above shining just a little brighter than before.